Greetings, healthcare colleagues. I wanted to chat with you today a little bit about documentation compliance and whether or not you should or shouldn't be worried about whether you would fail a documentation audit. My name is Dr. Ellen Fitzenreiter, and I share with my colleagues in chiropractic and outside of the chiropractic world about documentation compliance. So I want to share with you the top 4 reasons why you might fail a documentation audit. So number 1 is guidelines. And this might seem like a no-brainer, but the dirty little secret is, but a lot of healthcare providers across their board have not read their documentation guidelines. They rely on information presented in workshops and seminars or what might have been in their EHR training. But there's nothing like reading the carrier guidelines with your own eyes to understand what's being asked for and what you have to produce in your documentation. Number 1, substantiating medical necessity. Number 2, not using functional data to support the patient's condition, their progress, their release date, or your care plan. Number 3, saving and not signing your notes. Now I want to say something really short about that because a lot of times I hear that unsigned notes are the number 1 reason for denials of claims. And what I want to bring to light for you there is if a provider doesn't realize they need to be signing their notes and not just hitting the save button, odds are there are probably 5, 10, 15 other items in their documentation that would not pass an audit. But unsigned notes makes it really easy for the carrier to either fail you in an audit or deny your claims. Number 4, care plans that do not reflect episodic care of beginning of treatment, treatment plan, and release. And this is especially for chiropractic colleagues where a lot of patients maintain their schedules on some sort of wellness care schedule or maintenance schedule, and they come regularly, and having a pattern of continuing care like that is a definite flag to be audited and definitely for failing an audit. All right, now my number 2 is the time period audited. When you receive an audit letter, odds are they're going to go back about a year. The carrier will go back approximately a year to ask for documentation for a number of patients for a span of 6 months. And it goes back a year. So if you have been working on your documentation recently, yay you, I'm glad, but you're going to be audited and the state of your documentation is going to be judged on what it was a year ago. By the time you get your audit findings call, at least another 6 months will be passed. So now you're talking 18 months down the road. So when you get your findings call, you may be placed on prepayment review based on the status of your documentation from a year and a half ago. That's just how it goes. Number 3, your cases audited. It would be great if they would just randomly pick out the different cases from the patients that you see on a daily basis, but that's kind of not what happens. You hear about patterns and algorithms, and the carrier's system will pick out unusual frequencies of visit, extended periods of treatment, and they will tend to find those patients that may be particularly difficult for you to take care of. They may be particularly a lot of things wrong with them or more serious cases. They may pick out the patient who, because of work or because of forgetfulness or whatever reason, they don't necessarily, those are those patients that don't really keep up very well with their care plan. And so there's some inconsistencies of them coming and going. Those are going to be the harder cases to substantiate medical necessity and your care plan. Number 4, templated. Now this is not what you think. And as a healthcare provider who was told during my phone call that my notes appeared templated, inherently I don't think templates are a bad thing. Templates in the business world or any world are a really great way to provide a lot of information in a consistent way to keep you from dropping information that's required or to follow a sequential series of care like healthcare is. There are 2 problems with templated that may get you an audit response like that. And number 1 is you need to put in unique information about the patient's care along the way. So when you're thinking about using your EHR and it has its templates, always keep in mind that there should be a blank area in various places in your notes that can reflect that information that you can put in there. The second problem with templated is a lot of times there is superfluous information in our documentation. It's things that are not required by the guidelines. It may be from when you went to a documentation seminar and you added things to your notes and you didn't subtract things away that didn't have to be there. But if you have a lot of superfluous information in your notes that you haven't deleted, that makes it difficult to find the information that you do put in your notes that might be unique. It creates a lot of noise or static in your documentation and decreases the clarity of your communication. So when you go to that next documentation workshop and you see all the great things you need to be putting in your notes, you also need to, as you put those things in there, remove the items from your notes that don't have to be there. That's the problem with templated. All right, I hope that was helpful today. Thanks for joining me. Visit me on my website. It's medre.com. I have some blog posts about all things audit, and reach out to me if you've got any questions. Bye-bye.